The love is made public. Yumi took Wang Hongbing and went out for a few laps. She couldn't stay at home. Whenever she stayed at home, she couldn't help but write letters in her heart. Yumi was in a trance and very powerless. What on earth is love? Yumi has no idea. All that's left is to talk to him in her heart, but no matter how well she talks, she can't write it down in a letter. Instead, she blocked her and made her feel extremely sad. Yumi was getting worse and worse. Yumi felt worried, anxious, blocked, and tired. Fortunately, Yumi has extraordinary stableness and has not revealed anything to outsiders. But she's getting thinner day by day. Yumi carried Wang Hongbing to Zhang Rujun's gate. Rujun's just gave birth to a baby last year, and it is a boy, so she and Yumi get along quite well. Rujun's is not very good looking and has eye problems, so her father, who is the branch secretary, will not like her. Yumi is sure of this, whether or not a woman has a scandal with her father and when she cannot escape Yumi's eyes. If any woman suddenly becomes polite when seeing Yumi, she in turn reminds Yumi that Yumi will be extra vigilant. She has seen that kind of politeness too often. It's both guilty and flattering, warm and considerate, but also out of touch. While being polite, she also strokes her hair to look passionate. The key is the eyes, which become active all of a sudden. They want to look at everything but dare not to look at anything. They have the look of a female mouse. Yumi thought. Then you have to be polite. You are just a shameless person. No matter how polite you are still a slut and a bitch. Yumi will never give those sluts and bitches a good face. It's really ridiculous to say that the more Yumi doesn't give them a good look, the more polite they will be. The more polite you are, the more I won't give you a good look. You do not deserve it. What a stinking bitch. None of any good-looking woman is a good thing. If Wang Lianfang had not damaged his vitality, her mother would not have given birth to many girls. Yu Xiu is so beautiful, even though she is a biological sister. Her belt would not be tight in the future. Rujun's is different. Although she looks a little bit ugly, she is a lady and looks like a woman in every move. She is decent and generous in everything she does. Her eyes are never hidden. She is not stupid. So Yumi likes to talk to her. There's another reason why Yumi is so good to Rujun's. Rujun's surname is not Wang, but Zhang. There are only two surnames in Wang village. One is Wang and the other is Zhang. Yumi had heard from his grandfather once that the Wang family and the Zhang family had always had hatred, and they had fought several times, resulting in death. Wang Lianfang once had a drink with several village cadres at home. When he mentioned someone named Zhang, Wang Lianfang banged the table. Wang Lianfang said, "It's not an issue of two surnames, it's an issue of two classes." At that time, Yumi was lighting a fire in the kitchen and could hear clearly. There is no big movement between Wang's and Zhang's at the moment. The situation is calm and nothing can be seen. However, after all, people have died before, so it is obvious that they are not ordinary trivial matters. The dead are always filled with hatred. When put into the soil, hatred will grow again. No matter how calm and peaceful things appear on the surface, no matter how gentle the breeze is, no matter how hard he calls party secretary to the person named Wang, there must be a ferocious energy hidden deep in a person named Zhang. Just because you can see it now doesn't mean it doesn't exist. If you can see all the important things, then you are no longer a human, you are a pig or a dog. Therefore, Yumi usually only greets people named Wang in general, but when it comes to Zhang's, Yumi calls them sisters and aunts instead. We are not a family, so we should be treated like a family. Yumi held Wang Hongbing in her arms and stood at the door of Zhang Rujun's yard, talking to Sister Rujun's. Rujun's was also with her children. When she saw Yumi coming, she sent her children into the back room, took out the bench, and carried Wang Hongbing over. Yumi refused to give in, and Rujun said, "Changing hands, the rice is delicious." Yumi sat down, but glanced at the alley in the distance. Rujun saw it and knew that Yumi was willing to come to her these days. In fact, she took a fancy to the location of her house so that she could wait for the postman to deliver the letter. Rujun did not point it out, but kept boasting about Wang Hongbing. There are many mistakes, but it is always good to praise the kid. After chatting for a while, Rujun found that Yumi had straightened up her upper body and looked away from the top of her head. When Rujun knew someone was coming, she lowered her head and listened carefully. She didn't hear the sound of the bicycle chain rolling. She knew it wasn't the postman, so relieved. Suddenly, there was a burst of laughter behind her. When Rujun turned around, it turned out that several young people were coming. They put their heads together and looked at something while coming towards them. They looked very excited, as if they had seen something, like found precious bowls and dishes. Slowly arriving at the door of Zhang Rujun's house, Xiao Wu's Jianguo raised his head and suddenly saw Yumi. Xiao Wu waved his hand and said, "Yumi, come here, it's a letter from Peng Guoliang." Yumi was a little doubting and walked up to them. Xiao Wu held the envelope in one hand and the letter in the other, and happily handed it to Yumi. Yumi took a look and saw that it was all written by Peng Guoliang. It was her own letter. It was a letter from Peng Guoliang. Yumi's blood rushed to the top of her head, and she was so embarrassed that she didn't know what to do. She felt like she had been stripped naked and paraded through the streets several times. Yumi suddenly said loudly, "I don't want it." Xiao Wu glanced at Yumi's face, quickly folded the letter, put it in the envelope, licked it with his tongue, sealed it, and handed it over. Yumi knocked the letter in Xiao Wu's hands to the ground again. Xiao Wu picked it up and explained, "It is yours. I'm not lying to you. It was written by Peng Guoliang to you." Yumi grabbed it and threw it on the ground again. Yumi said, "Your whole family is dead." There was a stalemate in the alley. Yumi was not like this usually. People have never found Yumi to be so angry. The situation is already serious. Uncle Pocks must have heard the movement in the alley. He raised his finger, walked up to Xiao Wu, picked up the letter, and was strict with Xiao Wu. Uncle Pocks said sternly, "Why spit? Look, it opened again." Uncle Pocks resealed the letter with the rice grains on his fingers, handed it to Yumi, and said, "Yumi, it's ready now." Yumi said, "They have read it." Uncle Pocks smiled and said, "Your brother Xing Wang is also in the army. When he sends a letter, I ask someone to read it." Yumi was speechless and just shook. Uncle Pocks said, "No matter how good the clothes are, you still have to wear them for people to see." Uncle Pocks made sense and smiled, and when he smiled, all the round pockmarks turned into oval ones. But Yumi's heart was broken. Miss Gao Suqin opened 2 of Yumi's letters, so Yumi told Peng Guoliang not to let Gao Suqin carry over in the future. What's the use of this? No wonder some people have been talking to her in strange voices recently, and some of the words they say are vague but similar to the content of the letter. Yumi thought that she was being overly concerned, but it seemed not. Peng Guoliang's letters were always read by the whole village first, and then it was her turn. Other people's eyes have lived on Yumi's navel, so what's the use of clothes? Is the secret that Yumi is carefully tucked away still a little secret? Uncle Pocks comforted Yumi and went back. Yumi's face was bloodless, but the 2 lines of tears were particularly bright, like 2 long scars under the sun. Rujun saw it and was at a loss and frightened. She quickly turned sideways and unbuttoned her shirt for no apparent reason. As soon as her breast was exposed, she pressed Wang Hongbing's little mouth on it.